Okay. We have a sponsor tonight, our friend Mordechai Shaul and his wife Mali, sponsoring the shiur and the berachot that you're about to make. So have in mind. Lilun Nishmat Miriam Bat Kamar. Kamal or Kamar? Kamar. And what was it? Like Amar, Tamar, you said it was. Alechem Shalom. We have soup now. We have Adeh soup. I don't know what's in there. And after this,
What do you mean?
after the soup, we have more food coming.
There's rice in here, no?
Yeah, Mrs. Black is right here.
Mrs. Duet, there's rice in here, right? Rice? No rice?
No. Adeh, it is Adeh.
There's rice.
It's Adeh soup. It's perfect. I think so.
This is like, you can't, there's a big carrot.
Okay, so there's more food there. What do we have there? Kibbeh. Oh, guys.
Where, really?
It's not kibbeh. Kibbeh is something.
No, it's the meat kibbeh, right? It's the raw kibbeh, no?
No, that's kibbeh naya. No.
Yeah, that's, no?
I don't think she made naya. Kibbeh something. I didn't hear. Anyway, up there.
You
You guys want to make plates or should we start the shiur? Okay.
I haven't had that in a long time, you know? I don't know how long.
Habibi, what, naya? Okay, guys, listen. This, as you know by now, we're doing this for a long time, right? It's a build. It's always a build. We got to build, and the halakha l'maaseh is coming soon. I mean, especially with this topic, we need to build and have the background gemariyot first. And so halakha l'maaseh is not coming today. Halakha l'maaseh will start next week because we need to get background information from all the gemara. We're going to talk a lot about kiddush, seudah, interesting topics. So we got to start with Mesechet Pesachim, page Kof, Amud Bet. I made it in red on the bottom. Otam. Oh yeah, pass that booklets. Otam b'nei Adam, says the Gemara. Otam b'nei Adam shekitchu b'bet HaKnesset. These guys that make kiddush in the Bet Knesset. What are we talking about? They make kiddush in the Bet Knesset.
No.
So let's see the Rashbam. We're on page Kof Amud Bet. Kof Amud Bet. Kuf. It's really a Kof, but I'll say Kuf. Kuf Amud Bet. Otam in the red is the first page. You see at the bottom, we have two Pidushim on the left side, guys. Yeah. Ken. On the left side, we have two Pidushim. We have Rashi Lemala. We have Rashbam Lemata. So, yeah. So what does it mean? Otam b'nei Adam shekitchu b'bet HaKnesset. These people that make kiddush in the Bet Knesset. So look at the Rashbam on the bottom. It says the Rashbam on the bottom. Hu kiddush shemekadesh shaliach sibur be'elei Shabbatot b'yamim tovim b'bet HaKnesset. Is that what Ashkenazim do? Yeah. Okay. So the Hazan makes kiddush Friday night before everybody goes home. Kiddush. Says the Gemara. Amarav. Rav says Yedei yain lo yetzeu. Yedei kiddush yetzeu. Rav says all the people that
Bekat yain they're not yotzeh.
Bekat yain they're not yotzeh, but and kiddush they yotzeh. What does this mean? It means when they go back home and they want to make kiddush again for their families, do they have to make a new birchat yain? Would it put a gefen? Question number one. Question number two, do they have to make a new kiddush? Or can they just eat at home?
Question number three, can they make they wanted to do for their family?
If it's for the family, for sure you could, right? You know you can do.
We know the halakha.
We know the halakha. This Gemara is not talking about that question yet. Yeah, we'll get there soon. Yes, so exactly. So there's one difference. Exactly, Ezra. Exactly what I'm talking about. So next week, we're gonna think about what we do here in the Bet Knesset once we built all these topics. But Ezra, there's one big difference. We do kiddush in the daytime. There's no birkat kiddush in the daytime. Kiddush Rabbah is only gefen. And so there's not really a question so much about kiddush. But there is a question, but less. This is much more mahmir in the Laila because you have kiddush, mekadesh Shabbat. And so it's a mahloket, Rav and Shmuel. Rav says when you go home, so this is the way you read the Gemara. Yedei yain lo yetzeu. The yain in your house is not covered by the yain of the Bet Knesset. When you go home and you want to have wine, You need to make a new beracha bore priya gefen. You can't be yotzeh from the gefen you made all the way in the shul.
Right.
Yedei kiddush yetzeu. But this is Rav's opinion. This is mahloket.
No, he didn't need that.
This is a mahloket Rav and Shemuel. The fi Rav, this is the halakha. The fi Rav. Rav says kiddush is yotzeh. So what do you do? Kiddush, no, the kiddush beracha mekadesh Shabbat. You did it already. You heard for the shliach tzibur in the shul. I heard it in the shul. And so let's say you have no wives and children at home. Just you want to go eat seudah. Why should you say mekadesh Shabbat again? And if you don't want to have yain, just eat. If you want to have yain, you got to make it beracha gefen. But kiddush, you already heard in the Bet Knesset. So hold on, you didn't drink anything. You didn't eat anything. You just heard some guy make a beracha.
But if you have in your mind to go out during that kiddush, that gefen, because you in the house.
But you didn't do anything.
You didn't drink it.
All you did is you heard a hazan make gefen.
You don't have to drink to be yotzeh.
That's the question. That's one of the main questions we're going to be talking about. This is one of the main questions. So these topics.
Okay.
So guys,
all right, here we go.
This is exactly what we need to open up and understand. This is exactly where we have to go. All these questions, we have to answer every one of these questions. This is the opinion of Rav. Shmuel disagrees. Shmuel says, turn the page, Af yedei kiddush lo yetzeu. Even kiddush, you're not yotzeh in the Bet Knesset, which means when you go home, you have to make a new kiddush. You have to make a new gefen and a new mekadesh Shabbat. We have to understand the mahloket. Okay. Now, look at Tosafot, top left. Tosafot says, Af yedei kiddush lo yetzeu, en kiddush ela b'makom seudah. You must make the kiddush, according to Shmuel, in the place where you have your meal. You're not eating the meal in the shul, in the Bet Knesset. Dichtiv v'karata l'Shabbat oneg. You call Shabbat oneg enjoyment. Kilomar b'makom kriyat kiddush. In the place where you call Hashem with kiddush, sham teheh oneg is where you have to enjoy the meal. And you had the kiddush in the place where you're not going to have oneg Shabbat. Look at the Rashbam on the right side, also in red. Af yedei kiddush lo yetzeu. Same thing. He just says it more. Like we explained to Amir the Kameh, we'll explain the reason soon. En kiddush ela b'makom seudah. Dichtiv v'karata l'Shabbat oneg. You call Shabbat enjoyment. B'makom she'ata koreh l'Shabbat kilomar kiriyah the kiddush. The place where you call Shabbat, which is kiddush. Sham teheh oneg. That's where you have to have the meal. Umidrashu. It's a midrash. That's reason number one. The Piyad Rashbam. Reason number two. Inami, another reason, Sivarahi. You don't need the midrash. It's logic. Medi'ikba kiddush al yayin. From the fact that they said you have to make kiddush on wine, kidetanya l'kaman, like we'll say later, zachrewa al yayin, you have to mention Shabbat on wine. Mistama, we assume al yayin shebesha'at seudah hokba dehashiv. You have to do it during the kiddush. The Rashbam gives two different answers. One is from a source in the Karata l'Shabbat Oneg, which is a pasuk in Navi, not in the Torah. And we will talk about next week, B'ezrat Hashem, how some poskim say, well, according to the Rashbam's first reason, it's like almost like a midoraita. It's a smach from the Torah, from the Navi. According to his second reason, it's a sivaram. Maybe that makes a difference to halakha. We'll have to talk about this later. But Rashbam has two reasons.
This is the reason why we always, like they say, during daytime, if you hear kiddush, make sure you have mezunot with it.
This is exactly what we're coming to open up in the next 2-3 weeks. This whole topic. I cannot tell you how many times people come to me in the Bet Knesset saying, I had kiddush, I had a bowl of challah, do I have to eat a cookie? Do I have to? Every week someone else asks me this question. This is exactly what we're talking about.
Of course, the question to be asked is, if so, what made Rav say yatzah?
So let's see.
He must have had a very deep reason to go against something that's
So
very.
Rav doesn't hold of this concept kiddush when comes to seudah. Rav doesn't hold of this off the surface. But why? Ezra. Very good question. That's another thing we have to figure out. What is a seudah? Is it hamotzi?
Oh.
That's another question we have to figure out.
Seudah.
What is a seudah? Ezra's asking the good question. Moshe, you hear this question? In kiddush ila b'mkom seudah. What is it called a seudah? Is seudah lechem? That's a Persian man's response. Whatever you're served. No, it's a good question. We have to figure it out. Okay, let's see the Gemara a little longer. Today, I want to open up some Gemara, give background, and we'll go into the halachas next week. Okay, so the Gemara says, Ela le Rav, according to Rav, who said you were not Yotzei, Rav said you were Yotzei Kiddush, Ken? You're Yotzei in the shul. El le Rav, lama le Kiddush bebeteh. Why would I have to go back in my house and make another Kiddush? What's the point of making Kiddush at home, according to Rav? All Kiddush is in the shul. Answer is for the children and your wives to hear kiddush as well. It's not enough for you to hear it at shul. You have to do it for them. There is a Tosafot that talks about this. We'll get to it in a couple of weeks.
Well, you're not married.
So if you're not married, according to Rav, there's no point making it again. Just go home and eat. Okay. Ushmuel, according to Shmuel, who holds you're not yotzei kiddush in shul. Lama lili kiddush bebek nishta. What's the whole point in doing it in shul if you're not yotzei anyway? For the guests, there are sometimes visitors in the shul. They eat and drink and sleep in the shul, and so they're gonna live in the shul. So the kiddush is for those guys. The kiddush is not for a regular who has a house in town, according to Shemuel. Now, let's see a Rashbam on the right side.
Hold on. Our whole last series was you can't eat and sleep in.
Tosafot's question. I'm so excited you said that.
Nice.
I'm so excited you said it. Tosafot's question. Our Tosafot over here that I put in red. This is why I had such nahat today, and I actually texted Moshe and I said, Moshe, are you coming tonight? Why did I do this? Because I wanted you guys to see how the very same sugya we learned a few weeks ago is being brought into this sugya by Tosafot. Dr. Sofer is on the book. Let's first see the Rashbam on the right side. The Rashbam said on the right side, "En kiddush ila b'makom seudah." You have to have the kiddush where the meal is. V'im kiddush below sa'ad be'oto makom lo yatsa yedei kiddush. That's what you say. Let's see the Tosafot on the left side. Because the visitors, they're going to eat and drink and sleep in the shul, says Dr. Sofer. We learned in the Perek Bnei Aid Megillah, you don't eat and drink in the shul. Very good, Moshe. You read the whole Tosafot? Even though we know you're allowed to eat and drink from mitzvot. Yes, you're allowed to drink gefen for brit milah or havdalah, but this is not called mitzvah. Sleeping for sure is not a mitzvah in the shul. Asur. So what are these guests doing in the shul? You're going to tell me what? No, it's a Babylonian shul. Who cares, guys? What is a Babylonian shul? Remember this? We learned this, guys.
Yeah.
We learned this Tosafot together. The Bedek and Isot and Babel were made out tonight. Remember we said this? They built the Bedek and Isot and Babel tonight. And what did Tosafot answer? This is the Gemara, Moshe. What Gemara? It was a story we were talking about. What was the story? Two guys were outside the shul and it was raining. Remember this Gemara? And they answered, what do you mean? They lived in Babel. Tosafot's question, it's all coming back. Tosafot's question is, in Babel, they built out Tanai. What did Tosafot answer? Remember what he answered? The Tanai only works after they're destroyed. Remember this, Ezra? So he says, only after they're destroyed, then it's allowed to do what you want. But if it's in Bikiyumani, you're not allowed, even in Tanai. Moshe, I want you to have the honor of reading the next two lines. You know where we are? You get a yeah. Is that I want to show them where it is? Because I wanted you to see. The Kaman Hatam, Rabina, Vafila B'Shev Babel.
How many lights are there?
It's like 10 from the beginning of Tosafot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 8 lines from the top of the Tosafot. The Afilo bevavel. The Afi with
I
the.
must be in the wrong place because I don't see
Second page.
No, he's in the right Tosafot.
it. So,
The Afilo b'shel Babel. The Afilo is not spelled completely. It's the Afi with the apostrophe on it.
go ahead and read it because I don't see it.
No, I want you to read it.
I'll read it.
Yeah, better look. Yeah. No, because this is going to bring him back. That's why. The Afilo b'shel Babel.
Oh,
ואפילו שבבל,
אין אוכלים בהם דקאמר,
Hatam, like we said over there.
רבינה ורב עדה בר.
Ahava, stop. You recognize those names?
Yeah, mention them.
Yeah, what about them? Continue.
שלא היו רוצים להיכנס בבית הכנסת מפני
Nehageshamim. They didn't want to go in the shul, even though it was raining. Ilav, if not for the fact,
משום
the Shema'ata ba'ya saluta, because when you're studying, it has to be clear. Remember the story of the rain? V'hadikaman hatam b'tekenis shebabel amenat as altenai osunyan hayno le'ahad sheyahrobu she'en nogim kedusha. So how do you tell me they were eating? And the answer is v'yesh lomar. Yeah, but when they're alive, you can't do whatever you want. The Tanai only works once they're destroyed. V'yesh lomar. The answer is the lav dafka b'beken nishta. We're not talking about not the actual sanctuary in the hallways. Hari beken nishta. They heard the kiddush in the hallway. Okay, let's skip this line because we'll get there in a second. Okay, further in the Gemara. Good question, Veda. Dr. Sofer, excellent. Next, further in the Gemara. Ve'azda Shemuel ta'ameh. 5 lines from the top of the Gemara. Ve'azda Shemuel ta'ameh. Shemuel who holds you're not yotzei the kiddush in the shul. Azda ta'ameh. He goes according to his opinion. What is his opinion? Yama Shemuel, like he said before. And kiddush ela b'makom seudah. You have to do kiddush in the place of a seudah. Sabun mina, we thought, the people in the yeshiva thought, Hani Mili, these words of Shemuel, that it has to be only in the place of a seudah, mi bayit li bayit. This is only talking about if you're leaving from place to place, from a house to a house, you have to make a new beracha. Abal, mimakom l'makom behad beta lo. But if you're in one place of a house and you want to move and have finished the meal in another place of the house, you start the meal in the kitchen, I want to finish the meal in the living room, law doesn't apply. It's okay. You're still yotzei. It's still okay. It's not called breaking the seudah. Amar lehu Rav Anan bar Tahalifa. Rav Anan bar Tahalifa said to the rabbi, Zimnin Sagi'in, very often, Havaka'imna kamed Shemuel. I was with Shemuel in his house. And what did the rabbi say? If he was on the roof studying, he would make sure to go all the way down to the ground level to do kiddush, because that's where he was eating. And he would only do kiddush on the ground level. He wouldn't do kiddush on the roof and then go down to the main floor and eat his meal. So therefore we see, even within one house, if it's from the roof to the main floor, it's not called b'makom seudah. So we're going to have another question, guys. What's called b'makom seudah? I want to do kiddush in the kitchen, and then I want to go eat outside in the sukkah. I want to go eat in the living room. I want to go eat in my room. Is that called b'makom seudah? Or does it have to be mamash next to the table where you're eating? All these questions have to be answered.
Let's see,
If you could see the place.
According to this one example,
So far, he wouldn't do it on the roof. But maybe what about
the roof?
what about the third floor?
Right.
Maybe the roof is not considered. Maybe the third floor to the main floor. We have to define these rules. The Afrad Huna, even Abhuna, Sabar holds, and Kiddush Elam Kom Seudah. He agrees with Shemuel. Kiddush is only in the place of a Seudah. How do we know? Because the story that happened with him. The Rav Huna Kaddish. Rav Huna one time he made Kiddush, and suddenly his candles blew out, and now it's pitch black, and he can't eat in his house anymore. He can't see anything. And he just made kiddush. He took all his stuff and he went to his Son house, his son's Rabba's house, who got married.
And he did the kiddush.
The Rabba Shadga, because there's light over there in his son's house. The Kaddish, and he did a new Kaddish. The Ta'im Midi, and he ate something. I said Kaddish. He did a new Kiddush, and he ate something. Al Makasabad, we see that he holds in Kiddush Elam Kum Seuda. He holds like Shemuel. The Kiddush he did in his house is not valid. You have to do the Kiddush all over again.
Except there's another element. He completely left the place that he was at. The house.
That's by the
Perhaps
bite.
one may argue that once you're in the same house,
Yeah,
you should be
100%. But we have to define house to house, room to room, corner to corner. But at least for now, bite the bite or shul to home.
It seems like the
או שולט up here.
תראו, שהוא נמצא בתוך מעגל מסגר הבית, הוא לא יוצא מהבית, אז אין לו בעיה. אבל אם הוא יוצא מהבית, הוא חייב לעשות במקום אחר.
That's the question. So far, the fi Shemuel, the fi Rab, the fi Rab Huna, you lose the Kiddush
אם הוא יוצא מהבית.
if you leave your house. Yeah,
בגדול.
So you said telling me he made a berachat batala.
it's
But it
karov.
was anus.
Yeah.
No choice.
What's your question, doctor?
No, he was anus after.
Yeah, the first blessing he made was lebatala.
What is the
Huh?
Why?
It didn't work for anything. He did Kiddush,
He couldn't do anything.
No, but he dragged the.
but he didn't Kaddish Shabbat. In the daytime,
Right.
I would say, okay,
Okay.
he made geffen, fine. He had a sip of Kiddush, but in the nighttime, you made me Kaddish Shabbat. That's not the proper Kiddush. You gotta do it again.
When is that?
No, but
But the two things, Friday night after.
So this is the question.
How they do that?
How do they do it?
oh, they
They
give
do it today?
kids.
They don't
They
do
do
it.
it.
So
Yeah?
They give it to kids.
What do you mean?
They give the wine. They give the kids. They do it, and they give
For
the wine
sure,
to
then it's
kids.
no good.
No,
It sounds like they're doing it מפת החינוך. It doesn't
not
sound like
necessarily. Not necessarily. Speak up so everyone can hear you.
the חינוך.
My father-in-law is asking, how could you give the wine to a kid? It shouldn't be yotzeh if
He's
a
not
minor
yotzeh,
drinks it. And my answer is, what do you think the answer is? We'll have to see. It's a question.
That's why they give it to the kids.
All these things we're gonna have to see. Add it to the list. We have a big list of things we need to
Now,
figure out.
I just want to ask you. So, if
Yeah.
the rabbi he went from the second floor to downstairs, right?
It would seem
Make
we don't
it-
have a proof.
No, I'm asking. It would sound proper to make kiddush in a place that you have a potential seuda,
Yes. Yes.
right?
But maybe the whole house is considered one place. And the Gemaras that talk about this. Different rooms in the house. Right now, all we know is the roof he didn't consider part of the house, on the roof.
Okay.
So that's all we need for now, because we're talking about bite the bite, beta knesset the bite. It doesn't work. Unless what? Unless you had a seudah in the shul. Right now. I'm not saying Hanukah Ma'aseh.
And we don't even define Suda yet.
And what's a seudah? Well, for sure, bread. If you had bread, that's for sure seudah. Yeah, like I was just saying. The Afraba Sabar. So we're bringing it over here, and guys, this is really important. By the way, you should know these stories of rabbis. They're not just heke stories. I'm going to tell you why they're important in a second. The Afraba Sabar and Kiddush Elam Kum Seudah. Even Rabbah held this. The Amar Abaye says, Ki Havina Be'mal. When I was at Rabbah's house, Ki Aram Mekadesh. Whenever he did Kiddush, Amar Lan Ti'imu Midi. Eat something right now
Right away.
after the Kiddush. Dilma ad azbitu the ushpiza. Maybe by the time you get to your host house, the place where you're staying, the lights will already be burnt out. And you're not going to do kiddush in the place where you're eating. And if you don't eat now, this kiddush is not going to help you anything. So we have three stories of rabbis that held like Shemuel. Why is this important? Anyone have a guess? This is like a 100-point bonus.
Why
If you can guess,
important that-
why is this important when we say these stories of these rabbis? This is like 10,000 points to the person who gets this.
What's your question? Why is it important
Why is it important that I'm saying that? Even Abba held that. Even Abu Huna held that. Even Abba.
to the kids' precedent?
Why do we need that?
Because you're trying to support that you're going to paskin like him.
But in this
So you're
Gemara, we
supporting-
need it more. We need it even more. You know why? I mean, think about it. Any, is this true?
This particular gemara.
We're about to ask the question, so you're going to lose your opportunity. In this particular Gemara, these stories are vital. We need these stories. Not just like every Stam Gemara, give me stories. In this mahloket, we need these stories.
Oh, because there's no Matanya. There's no Mishnah.
No. We're going to say it right now. Is it ready? No, not the topic.
Because the rabbi was a minority one.
Who?
The first one that we quoted.
I didn't quite understand it.
The rabbi.
Usually the Gemara brings stories of rabbis. This Gemara, the stories are very, very critical. These three stories are important for the halakha. Why? We're going to say in 1 minute. I just want to know if anyone wants to take a guess. Any, is this true? Gemara says, any. When you learn Gemara, sometimes in means no. In Aramaic, it means yes. Any means, is this true? That's what it means. Any, true? The Amar of Ayyeh said, Kol mili demar hava avid kera. Rava always held like Rav, not like Shemuel. Where's the halakha Rav and Shemuel? Halakha goes like Rav, not like Shemuel. Rav held Yotzei the kiddush in the shul. Why would Rava hold like Shemuel? The Bar Mehani Tilat. There's only 3 times in Isurim where the halakha is not like.
It's like he's the minority. They won't go by him.
That's good enough. By the way,
500 points.
guys, 5,000 points.
Okay.
Yeah. By the way, guys, this we also did. When did we start this year? A year or 2 years? We did this in the Hanukkah class of last year. We did this Gemara. I don't remember this. There's only 3 cases we hold like. You are excused. There's only 3 cases we hold like Shemuel and not like Rav. In Hanukkah class, we did this. Lebad mehani telat. Except for these 3 cases we hold like Shemuel, which are the following: Da'abit kishmuel, matirin beged lebeged. As soon as I say this, Moshe is good. You take, if you want to have 1 tzitzit string, and you want to take the strings off and put it on a new garment, are you allowed to ruin the first tzitzit to make the second tzitzit? According to Shemuel, yes. Remember this, guys, on Hanukkah. Are you allowed to light from one candle to another candle? According to Shemuel, yes.
And we hold by.
Yes, and we hold like Shemuel. But we had a whole question last year. I don't know if you remember the toothpick in the middle. If it's the ner of the shamash, it was a whole sugya. It's almost Hanukkah, so we should probably review it. And the third one, the halakha can be Shimon begrira, which means the Tanya, like we said, so we say right now. Rabbi Shimon omer gorer adam mita kiseh v'safsal b'Shabbat u'bebat shelo yitchaven la'asot haris. There's a mahloket whether you're allowed to drag furniture on the outside the lawn because you're going to make holes in the ground, but that's not my kavanah. My kavanah is to move the chair. So Rabbi Shimon holds it's allowed. Rabbi Shimon, this is whenever one day we do Gemara Shabbat. Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Shimon, the whole Masechet Shabbat is basically the mahloket Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Shimon. Rabbi Yehuda holds it doesn't matter what your kavanah is. Rabbi Shimon holds you need Hilul Shabbat requires kavanah.
What are we talking about? Rabbi Shimon?
Rabbi Shmuel holds like Rabbi Shimon. Rabbi Shimon holds you're allowed to drag the chair outside, even if it makes a hole in the ground, because it's not your kavanah. And on Shabbat, you need kavanah. It's a whole Shabbat sugya. Anyway, what are we saying here? Why would Rav Huna and Rabbah and the other rabbi agree with Rav when it's not one of these 3 cases? Agree with Shmuel when it's not one of these 3 cases? And the answer is whenever Rav was more strict, he didn't hold like him. But if Rav is more lenient, whenever Rav is more strict, he held of him. But if Rav is more lenient, he didn't hold of it. So that's the answer the Gemara says. And
that's one of 3 cases. It's more than that.
Yeah, that's one answer. And another answer I saw, I don't know if it's Tosafot or not, is we have a precedent here of 3 rabbis. We have a precedent. 3 rabbis are saying halakha like Shemuel. And so this rule that Shemuel always loses to Rav doesn't apply when we have a clear precedent, like the word you said of halakha kimoto.
They live in the same time?
Rav and Shemuel, yeah.
No, but the other rabbis.
No, these rabbis did not live in the same time. Rav and Shemuel did not live in the same time. Rav and Shemuel were before. So these rabbis came after and did like Shemuel. And so therefore, halakha like Shemuel.
So, but the Amoraim, but from different times of Amoraim?
Yeah, there's a span of time. Sure, there's a long time. Okay, now we said that Abaye was told by Rabbah, when I do kiddush for you in my house, you make sure to eat something right now. So Ezra said before, what should we eat? What do I have to eat? Bread? Mizonot? What's called eating seudah? Ezra, look at Tosafot. Tosafot, ta'imu midi. Ta'imu midi means eat something. Nid'eh says Tosafot, Yahainu te'imat lechem Ezra. Says Tosafot, Nid'eh Yahainu te'imat lechem. When it says you have to eat for your seudah, says Tosafot, it must be lechem, bread.
At night we're talking about.
For seudah, or either one. In order to be called your seudah, says Tosafot, to him, in his opinion, bread is what's required. And then he says over here, oh, you're going to tell me sometimes some people say you don't need bread for seudah Shabbat, says Tosafot, Hainu dafa b'seudah shlishit, which we also learned here, I think. Seudah shlishit is a mahloket, whether you can have pirot or mizonot, but the first two seudot, says Tosafot, you need lechem. And so therefore, according to Tosafot, I'm not saying halakha l'ma'aseh, according to Tosafot, in order to be called seudah, you have to have lechem. So the Tosafot, if you have kiddush and you want this to be your kiddush, you better have bread. Not halakha l'ma'aseh. We're going to see arguments. Okay, let's do one more piece of the Gemara.
No, so first of all, Tosafot basically says he's also holding that you need to have a seudah, and then he moves to the next phase, which is defining the seudah.
Yeah, well, we know that, I mean, the halakha is like Shemuel.
Yeah.
We can see here, guys, the halakha is like Shemuel. The halakha is like Shemuel, which means en kiddush ela b'mkom seudah. Rav is not the halakha like Rav, so which means when we have kiddush, we have to make sure we have a seudah after the kiddush, or the kiddush was for nothing, and we have to do it again. We have to define what does it mean seudah. Yes, we have to define that. Yes, but we're speaking in broad terms. Halakha is like Shemuel. Okay, so this is what we have to build on. We have to understand all what's required of us to make this kiddush work. So again, if you're in the Bet Knesset and you have kiddush in the daytime, do you want this to be kiddush for you? When you go back home, are you going to have geffen and make a new kiddush, or no? Well, if this is your kiddush, you better ask yourself, did I have a seudah? What's called a seudah? We have to find out. According to Tosafot, Tosafot says lechem. The Tosafot lechem.
It makes sense that to qualify for a meal, it has to be motzi.
It makes tons of sense.
Why?
Because
Tosafot says this because that's what's called seudah Shabbat.
That's what he says, also.
because
Tosafot, the Tosafot, I mean, it makes sense, no? Not that we're happy with that, but it's be objective.
But the reason why it makes sense is because this is the only time that you're breaking the order of brachot. Because shakol, if it was shakol, maybe if it was shakol, you could always say shakol after you say hagefen. But you cannot say.
No, you can't say shakol after geffen. The geffen is potato all the drinks.
Yeah. No, shakol on like
on the food.
On the food.
Oh, sorry.
Right?
Yeah.
But motzi, you should say before hagefen because it's the higher order, so that's where you cover it. So
maybe you don't have to do it right away.
He's
You
saying
could
maybe
wait an hour.
at all, though.
Maybe you could wait an hour.
okay. No. But my point is on the Tosafot, it just makes sense that you go with bread because
but he's saying
it's not to do that at all.
Right, but he's saying maybe crackers is seudah, and if so, how much crackers is called seudah? And another question: maybe the geffen should be called seudah. Why can't geffen be called seudah? Why can't the geffen be seudah? So we have to see. Okay.
Can geffen be seudah during the nighttime?
We have to see. We have to see what's called seudah. Dad, you have to stop saying during the night, during the day. We're defining what it means seudah. No, it does not make a difference. Seudah is a seudah. What's called seudah? It doesn't matter night or day. Okay, so Ezra,
make kiddush and say it an hour later.
Yeah, but we're all saying seudah, but where did we get it from?
Right. Yeah.
Why is that?
We know that you need bread. So there's two things. We know that you need bread on Shabbat. No one is saying you don't have to have lechem on Shabbat. The question is, what's called seudah for your kiddush? That's the question. Ezra, if the answer is lechem, how many people have lechem on kiddush in the shul? So then you have big bayot. So we have,
and not only that, you're going to the halacha as we know it, but we're still in the building.
We're building it up.
And the question to be asked,
Yeah.
why is lechem defined as a seudah?
but we know
The fact that we know it today, it
Right.
came from somewhere. Let's find the source. Let's understand it.
very good. I mean, we're not going to open up we're not going to go deep into everything. I mean, lechem for Shabbat Seudah, I'm not going to go into the Gemara because we have to take some, what's it called? Givens. It has to be a given. Motzi, you have to have a motzi on Shabbat. The first two meals for sure you have to have lechem. We all know this. The question is, yes, I know you have to have lechem, but what's enough for your kiddush? Maybe you can have mizonot for the kiddush and then after have lechem. That's the question. We have to see. One more piece of Gemara, guys. Now, the Rabbi Yohanan, 3 lines from the bottom. Rabbi Yohanan Amad, Rabbi Yohanan says, Af yedei yain nami yatzeu. Ay, how many opinions over here? Rabbi Yohanan is like Rav and more than Rav. Rabbi Yohanan says the kiddush in the shul, kosher. The geffen in the shul, kosher. Go home, don't make a new geffen. Rabbi Yohanan goes the other way. Everything's good. The Azda Rabbi Yohanan, the Ta'ameh, Rabbi Yohanan goes according to what he holds. Why? The Amar Rabbi Yohanan, the Amar Rabbi Hanin bar Abaye, Amar Rabbi Padat, Amar Rabbi Yohanan, Echad shinui yain, ve'echad shinui makom, and sarich lebarech. Now we're getting to another sugya, guys, which this is going to be a few weeks. Now we have another sugya, the sugya of shinui makom. If you're eating and you get up and you go, and you want to finish your meal, do you have to make a new beracha?
Sometimes if you had the mind before, depends if you're on the way out of the door.
We gotta see. It's complicated stuff. And so it says Rabbi Yohanan, again, Ehad gefen, Ehad, where is it? Ehad shinuyayin, which means whether you decided I'm changing my wine, I want to have a different wine. I don't want the Cabernet, I want to have the Merlot.
You're in the same place, the same arucha. You're just
better.
changing your wine.
Same wine. Or you're keeping your wine and you just want to move places in your meal. It doesn't matter. Just continue eating. So he says, if you're having a different wine, don't make a new beracha. Just continue drinking. What is the question? Hatov v'ametiv. What about hatov v'ametiv? There's the halakha that if you have a new wine that comes in the seudah, and it's a better wine, and there's a zillion ramifications for it, you make a tov v'ametiv on the new wine to thank Hashem for the better wine that came. And so it says the Rashbam, I didn't circle it because it's too big. It says the Rashbam on the bottom, we're not talking about a tov v'ametiv. A tov v'ametiv is a different thing. A tov v'ametiv is complicated. It has to be two people there. They both have to be drinking. You have to have some of the first wine left. You have to have a new wine that's a different type of wine. It has to be a better quality. It's a whole inyan, a tov v'ametiv. We're not talking about a tov v'ametiv. It's almost impossible to make a tov v'ametiv. Almost impossible for us to make a tov v'ametiv. We're talking about birachat gefen, that's all. So Rabbi Yohanan says, if you want to switch your wine, don't make a new gefen. This is easy for us to understand. And if you want to switch where you're eating, don't make a new beracha. Just go finish eating in the living room.
But in the same place.
We can't say it these days. Almost impossible to say.
But in the same place.
He says shinui makom. He holds shinui makom et tzarich lebarech. We have to see what that means. Meti, there we have a question. Shinui makom tzarich lebarech. It says straight out that if you change your place, you have to make a new blessing. Shinui yain et tzarich lebarech. But if you change your wine, you don't make a new blessing on the wine. This we know. And the Gemara answers right away. This is rare in the Gemara. Tiyufta, the Rabbi Yohanan tiyufta, very rare. No defense. Checkmate. You defeated Rabbi Yohanan's wrong. He's wrong. If you change your place, you need to make a new beracha. If you're eating in this room, this is not halakha l'ma'aseh, guys. This is just a random example, okay? If you're eating in this room and you say, you know what, guys? There's a parade coming down. There's a pro-Israel parade. Let's go join the parade. And you go to join the parade, and you want to go finish your meal somewhere else, or you want to maybe come back here, you have to make a new blessing. It would seem yes. You lost the meal, you have to start fresh. It would seem yes, we have to get into it. Okay, one more piece. Yativ Rav Idi, or on the third line. Yativ Rav Idi, Barabin Kamed Rav Hista. Rav Idi Barabin is sitting by the rabbi Rav Hista. Yativ Rav Hista v'Kamad, and he's listening to Rav Hista talk. And Rav Hista is saying, Mishemed Rav Huna, in the name of Rav Huna, this that we said, when you change your meal place, you have to make a new beracha. It's not always. That's only if you change houses. You want to go finish your meal in a different house, you have to make a new beracha. But if you're in the same house from one room to another room, don't make a new beracha. Just continue eating. Rabbi hears this from Rav Hista. Amar Rabbi Barabin asked the rabbi, what do you mean? We learned the same exact thing in the Mishnah of Rav Hunak. So what did he do? What is this chidush you're telling me? This is the Mishnah. You don't know this Mishnah? And they say exactly what you just said. Rav Huna said to Gemara, what? Is he come to teach us Mishnah that we already knew? What is this chidush? Gemara says that we never heard this Mishnah. So he was saying what he thought was a chidush. Now, it's worth saying that Rashbam says this is shibush. He says it's unbelievable, where is the Rashbam? He says this is a shibush, impossible. Shibush gamurhu, I put it on the left side. It's a messed up version of the Gemara. There's no way the Gemara said what it just said. What, he's trying to teach us a Mishnah we already knew? The Mishnah, he says no. Shibush gamurhu. This is a mixed up version. Gemara always tells us things that we knew in other Mishnayot. And so the whole question here isn't like, but regardless, don't get lost on that part. That was the story. We have another story.
What are we trying to put now? The location.
It's just, we're working on location.
Trying to define.
What does it mean? Last one for today, guys. Vetu yativ Rab Hista. Again, another time, Rab Hista, the rabbi, was sitting. This time, he said a chidush in his own name. This that we said, if you change your meal to a new house, let's say, or a new place, you have to bless. Lo amran ela b'devarim she'en te'onin beracha la'acharehen b'mkoman. Aval devarim ha'te'onin beracha la'acharehen b'mkoman en tzarich lebarech. This is going to break our brains for a minute.
Beracha la'acharehen
b'mkoman. This that we said, if you pick up your meal and you want to go eat it somewhere else, you have to make a new beracha. That halakha only applies to something that you eat that doesn't require a blessing where you ate it. The type of food that you ate doesn't require beracha aharona where you ate it. Why? Because there's a different halakha about if you are eating and you run to work and you say, oh, I forgot to make beracha aharona. What do? Do I have to go back or can I just continue? It depends what you ate. It depends what you ate. If it also depends if you're a mezid or accident. If you're a mezid and you ate bread, very bad. You have to go back. If you knew, I'm not benching, I'm getting out of here, I'm going, you have to go back. Knas. If there was an accident, maybe not. It's a whole inyan. Regardless.
If you knew and you did it, you're never going to.
That's a good question. Because you're a bad guy. So it says Rab Hista, there are certain foods you don't have to make a beracha where you ate it. She'akol. Let's start with easy. She'akol. Everything's a machlokes. I want to take a very easy topic. She'akol. Meat. You had a piece of steak. You don't have to make borei nefashot in the place where you eat the steak. You can make borei nefashot anywhere, even the chatahila. So for that type of food, if you moved your location, you got to make a new beracha for the meal. Okay. We're going to do this again next week. But basically, he's associating if it's a food that requires you to stay there and bench, that's the same type of food where you take your meal with you and don't make a new beracha.
So you don't.
You don't make a new beracha. You hear the logic?
Yeah.
If it's the type of food that requires you to sit there and bench where you ate it, you're attached to that location. You're attached to that food. You have to say the beracha where you are, like bread. That means if you decide to go move to somewhere else and still eat, you take the seudah with you everywhere you go. And you don't have to make a new beracha over there. But if it's a she'akol, where it's, oh, you ate the steak here, no problem. Say the nefashot in Irvine. Then you're never attached to a she'akol. And so if you pick up and you want to move and have another she'akol, you need a new beracha. This is the logic
Makes sense.
of the, make sense? I'm so happy you agree, by the way.
Yeah.
This is the logic of the Chisda, and this is hopefully where we will start next week and build from here. That's it.
So the type of food that you can say